What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Mystical Rebel channel. I am your host, the Mystical Rebel, and in this video, we are going to be reacting to Abednego Lufile. I'm sorry if I mispronounced his last name, and his video from about a month ago, titled "The Most Viral Testimony from an Ex-Witch." You guys know one of my specialties on here is fighting against the lies, the misinformation, and the deception put out by the New Age, the paranormal, and the occult conspiracy communities. And this would be considered occult conspiracy, right? This is going to be from, just like every other video I've ever debunked, when it comes from ex-witches, ex-occultists, ex-satanists. There's going to be vague information, no detail, no actual information that you can go and use to research and validate on your own, right? And then even if she does use, actual terms that we might use in occultism, I promise you, the way she's using them, the context that she's using them in, is going to be incorrect. But that's what we're going to be doing in this video. So buckle up, because we're going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to be debunking yet another Christian occult conspiracy about what witches do and how we operate, and that we're all out here just trying to attack Christians and all this other nonsense. So let's go ahead and get started.
Y'all have to listen to this former witch's testimony. He just exposes witchcraft and says that there's no good witchcraft, there's no good witch. And she talks about a lot. And those of you that practice witchcraft and you try to tell people there's good witchcraft, you better listen to this and repent in the name of Jesus. This is an eye-opening testimony.
There's no such thing as white witchcraft. Witchcraft is witchcraft. Tarot cards, card reading, everything to know about astral projection, Tibetan Book of the Dead, Buddhism, anything there was to know about spirit guides. And what I would do is I would ask...
The Tibetan Book of the Dead is not witchcraft. Even the Egyptian Book of the Dead, which I have a copy of, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, is not witchcraft. I don't have a copy of the Tibetan Book of the Dead. I don't really study stuff from the East, but Buddhism is not witchcraft. Tarot cards is not witchcraft. Astral projection is not witchcraft. These, or at least the latter two, are things that can be used in witchcraft, but tarot cards in and of themselves do not denote witchcraft. Astral projection in and of itself does not denote witchcraft. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I have several astral projection books over there. None of them mention witchcraft, and only one of them mentions magic or the occult in any sense, and that's because the book is like a threefold book. It's the title of the book has three different topics in the title, so it's not just about astral projection. So therefore it does include magic in that book, but not witchcraft. It's actually Western ceremonial magic, right? So things like the Key of Solomon, Golden Dawn, OTO, those sorts of things, right? Western ceremonial magic, not witchcraft. So like already and I'm known for pausing videos and giving extensive commentary within the first 30 seconds. Not surprising that I stopped it right as soon as he started it. But she's inaccurate from the jump, right? And I believe I reacted to other parts of her long form on TikTok. But let's continue, shall we?
To project out of the body, enabling spirits to come in, because in witchcraft I believe that if I could get my own spirit, I could be empowered by bringing spirit guides in. Now understand, I was of the mind that these spirits that were coming in...
So she's conflating astral projection and like channeling and mixing them together. When you're channeling, assuming you're doing it correctly and properly, and these new agers out here channeling whatever, Bashar channeling, all that is nonsense. But when you're astral projecting, spirits can't come into your body, or else everyone would have that problem, and very few people would still be out here doing it, right? If you had to worry about, your body being taken over by demons or, whatever. I promise you that's not a worry at all. She's mixing channeling and astral projection together.
Spirit guides were nice.
It's not a worry.
I became very, very studious
And I should just
about
watch it on the screen. I don't know
astrology,
why I'm watching it.
witchcraft, card reading, and that card reading became my niche. Sid, I would walk into a room with a deck of cards and read everybody's mail. Just by that deck of cards. And I thought it was the best thing since the McDonald's hamburger.
And that's called divination.
Well, it sounds like he's about to say that's called divination. That's accurate. Yes, reading tarot is divination. It's not witchcraft. It can be used in witchcraft, but it does not denote witchcraft in and of itself, right? Just like, for example, so if you guys aren't familiar, if you're new to my channel, new to my content, something that I do on TikTok, because that's where I mainly, you can find me going live and all that other stuff is on TikTok. One of the things I like to do when I'm explaining esoteric, occult, mystical concepts is I do something that I call as above, so belowing it. I'll say, let's as above, so below this. And that's just a spiritual, esoteric way of simply saying, let me explain this in layman's terms, right? Let me give you mundane examples to maybe help illustrate and maybe help you understand. And for stuff like this, I like to use, say, for example, transmission, right? Almost all vehicles, now I don't know about electric vehicles, but all motorized vehicles have a transmission, right? But just because there is a transmission doesn't mean that we're talking about a car. We could be talking about a bus. We could be talking about a plane. We could be talking about, SUV. We could be talking about, ATV, whatever. Just because we're talking about something that a car has doesn't mean that we're talking about a car, right? So yes, transmissions are in cars, but just because I'm talking about a transmission doesn't necessarily mean I'm talking about cars. Most of the time I may be, but it doesn't mean that I always am. And in the case here, same sort of concept. So let's continue.
Nation. And that's why you're seeing a lot of false prophets. They love reading people's mail. Go deeper, Papa, and they're telling you everything about your life that you know, name, phone number, all this stuff, and they just dwell there.
That's usually not the case. Unless you're dealing with a legitimate reader. But again, I've not had any psychics from like the boardwalk or I say this in other videos. I've said it on live streams. I've never had a boardwalk psychic or a party psychic or the corporate function psychic or whatever, or the psychic that's in your town where you're driving past. It's just a house like on some main road, but it's a house, right? You know how like some smaller like law firms and accounting firms, are in like a house on the side of like the road. It's in like a house like that. It just says psychic open. Yeah, places like that I've never gotten accurate readings from, but that could just be me. Let's continue.
That's why you're seeing this trend of prophesy and go deeper, and what they're just telling you is everything that you already know. It's not the word of knowledge. It doesn't give glory to God. It doesn't bring people into repentance. It doesn't bring people closer to Christ. It's because it's cold questioning, but you wouldn't know that because you guys are not allowed to search for anything outside of your religion. I'm surprised that you guys even go to school because and learn about history and math. And I'm not being like facetious. It's like you guys don't know anything when it comes to spirituality outside of your own religion. It is absolutely insane. Like it's crazy. It's a wonder that you can navigate in the secular world, right? You guys don't know anything when it comes to spirituality anyway. But this is ridiculous. Information to basically make you believe that they're from God because they want to convince you through their accuracy that they know stuff about you. Divination.
They want to convince you through your accuracy. What does that mean? That doesn't make any sense. You're just saying things. They want to convince you through your accuracy. Do you mean through their accuracy? Is that what you mean? Maybe that's what you mean.
Just like the woman in the book of Acts, the damsel girl who had a python spirit.
I thought I had finally come to a place of prominence because I could intimidate people. I could make them afraid of me because I was operating in these powers. And I never knew they were demonic.
Operating in the powers.
So there are powers, right? I recently did a video where the lady that was being reacted to in that video was talking about how everything, that you get from witchcraft is an illusion. So are there powers or not? Like, which one is it? Who do I believe? Do I believe this Christian lady, or do I believe a Christian lady in the last video? Like who do I believe? Do I believe the guy who says don't go into psychics and witch shops and occult shops and metaphysical shops and all that because you're opening yourself up to dark forces? Or do I believe the guy who is a Christian and he has a podcast and a church and all this other stuff, and he literally went into a bodega where they sell like brujeria and like folk magical supplies, and he went in there to like evangelize and try to convert the people who like work there? So which one is it? Can we not go in there because we're going to get attacked spiritually? Or can we go in there because we have the power of God, like that one guy supposedly did, right? Like, so who do we believe, right? There's never any cohesion with these types of people. There's never any cohesion.
And this is how a lot of the false prophets are no different than this lady. They make people afraid of them or fear them or respect them because of their powers, and that's how they manipulate them for money.
I thought that I had come into this great power that I had been looking for. The trouble is, when you play with the devil, he doesn't play fair. He'll give you everything you want, all the drugs you want, all the women you want, all the promises, and all the power you want. And when he's done with you, he'll kick the legs out from under you.
Oh, so it's not an illusion. It's real then. Because in the last video I did, we were told it was all an illusion. None of it's real. So we're talking about drugs. She said it, not me. So the drugs I snorted up my nose, that was all in illusion. Now, of course, not me. I don't do drugs in that way. Smoke a little weed, but I don't do coke or any weirdness like that. But in her case, she said, he'll give you all the drugs you want. So those drugs I did, they were an illusion, or was that real? All the women I want, was that an illusion, or was that real? Right? The new house, the new car, the job, or the promotion, whatever, the money, is that all real, or is that an illusion? Right? Am I really at Cartier buying a $20,000 watch, or is that an illusion? Right? Like, which one is it? Who do we believe? Do we believe this lady or the lady in the last video?
That's why the Bible says, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world but lose his soul? What does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? The devil plays you this way. He will.
What? So how is drugs and women gaining the whole world? Like, she just said drugs and women. How is that gaining the whole world?
Nonsense. He will allow you to gain materially so you can lose big spiritually.
That's why you hear rock stars sometimes say, I sold my soul to the devil. Because once you make that trade, he'll give you what you want. But people need to understand that the devil is not sharing his kingdom with anyone. He's selfish and hateful, and his personality is that of hate and violence. And so as I began to encounter these spirits, from a pleasant person, even though I was a fall-down drug addict, I began to take on the personality of the devil. I began to act. I began to hate. I began to all the more. And I love to see people hurt. Like, I'd like to do a card reading where I knew a man was committing adultery. I'd name names, and it was just an evil behavior.
You got to understand that demons have personalities. When a demon enters your body, you got to understand.
And word didn't spread about you, right? Gossip and rumor, especially around, like older women in, her community, love to gossip, love to rumor. If you were going around exposing people, I don't think people would at least in your own town, I don't think people would keep coming to you because they would know that you're going to expose whatever nonsense that they got going on. But that never happened. You were shielded from all that with your magic powers.
And it will also cause you to have also causes you to have like a split personality, schizophrenia. Oh my goodness.
I don't know any witches. I mean, not that there aren't any. I'm sure that there are witches, just like I'm sure there are Christians out there with that are suffering from mental issues. But that's not a common thing, right? Witches that are schizophrenic, or witches that have multiple personality disorder, or I think now it's called dissociative identity disorder. I think, at least as of this recording, which is in 2024, is what it's probably called now. I don't know. And then his exasperated gasps, it's just crazy.
And so here I was with these spirits operating in this park, cursing people. I cursed one man's city, fell 3 stories into a wheelbarrow. Thank God that wheelbarrow was there, because he would have been killed. I was astral projecting. I was studying all this witchcraft. I thought everything was wonderful. The same spirits, as you said in the opening, that gave me power began to turn on me.
Why would they turn on you?
Because the personality...
I would love to hear the spirits that she's talking about. I promise it'll be, just the spirit of grief. Like, she won't be able to name, or if she does name spirits, it'll be the same generic demons. It was Lucifer, Satan, Beelzebub, Asmodeus, right? It won't be it was Orias or Malthus or Bifrons or Simages, right? These demons from like the Goetia that like no one knows. It's just the main, just like angels, just like with the New Agers and I can talk to the angels. But then you ask them, okay, well, what angels do you talk to? And they all of them only talk to the main 4. No one knows about Zachiel or Anael or Camiel or anything along those lines. No one knows anything like that. It's all just Michael, Raphael, Gabriel, and Uriel. Maybe you'll get lucky and find one that knows Metatron and or Sandalphon, but that's it, right? So no different than the New Agers, which is why I call the New Agers the New Christians, right? No different than the New Agers. You don't know anything. You don't know anything. You're making it all up. And if somebody were to question you, you'll just name the generic demon names, the generic that Hollywood's been using, video games, comic books, novels, these same demon names that have appeared all throughout entertainment, all throughout literature, like popular literature. That's all you're going to use. You're not going to use any of the ones from, like the Black Dragon, Orions, Magoa, Amamen, Aegon. You're not going to use any of those. It's going to be, it was Beelzebub, of course. It was Lucifer, of course. Come on. Let's continue.
If spirits of darkness is not a nice, friendly personality. Thought I had arrived. But as these spirits began to turn and to torment, the same spirits that gave me power to read cards and astral project and operate in the soulical power, the psyche power, would turn on me. As if all of a sudden the same voices that would say, this man is committing adultery, or this woman steals at work, or this girl's going to get married last year, when I was reading cards, would now say to me, you should die. It's better to just die. Said I would walk around with a gun in my mouth. I can remember the metal used to burn my tongue. I would just suck on a gun, waiting for the moment to stop this power that I had entered into, to stop the destruction of my mind. My drugs increased. I would take needles, Sid, and people that were the worst drug addicts in
before I say anything, let me say I'm glad you didn't. She's probably gone now due to what looks like her advanced age at this stage, and this video looks like it's from the 90s or something like that. We're in 2024, so chances are she's either super old or she is gone now. But I'm glad, assuming she's telling the truth, that she didn't take her own life. So let me just get that out the way. I'm glad she didn't, and if anybody is suffering from those types of thoughts, please seek professional assistance. But going off of what she's saying here, why didn't the devil just let you do it, right? And if the answer is, well, God was protecting her, then why didn't God just snap his fingers and just bring her out of it? Why make her go through all the rigmarole, all the nonsense, but I'm not going to let you unalive yourself, but, I'm not going to just protect you and save you from the situation at large. Like, what? Like, why let them go into witchcraft if it's so evil? And it's not like, oh, you let me lose my job so I can learn a lesson on how to, be self-sufficient or, whatever. You let me go into witchcraft, like literally the devil's realm, according to their paradigm. Why would your God like let that happen? Like, that doesn't make any sense. But he protects you from unaliving yourself. Like, come on. So why, like, if all this is from the devil and the demons, why didn't they just force you to do it?
Town would not get high with me. I would go into a bathroom and take a needle and bang it into my arms. I had thick growths all the way down. Today you can see they're totally gone, but thick growths and abscesses all the way up and down my arms. In that drug state, I'd go out and become even more promiscuous, hoping that someone would just love me for a little while. And that's what our kids are doing today, Sid.
Promiscuity, sex is always connected to witchcraft. It's connected to the highest form of the occult, Freemasonry.
No, it's not. You're basing this off of your Crowleyan nonsense. You watch a couple videos on YouTube that puts up images of Crowley and images of the covers of a couple of his books, or maybe some Google images or Amazon look inside me pictures of one of or two of his books, and you'll make claims that, oh, Crowley said this and Crowley instructed to do that. And no, just because Crowley was into sex magic, or just because sex magic is a thing, doesn't mean that that's the totality of witchcraft. It is not super important. Most witches don't engage in sex magic. Most witches do not engage in sex magic, at least not as a main practice. I'm sure many of us have dabbled in it, see what it was about. Right? What? You can do magic while also having sex? So yeah, I'm sure that made people curious, but it is not a main practice at all. And Freemasonry, I'm not a Freemason. Let me just get that out of the way. I do not belong to any lodge. I'm not a Freemason in any sense of the word, but I have plenty of friends on TikTok anyway, which is my main platform, that are Freemasons. People that I go live with, I stream with. They're in my live streams often. They're not magical practitioners by far and large. Are there individual Freemasons that could be interested in magic? Yes. So, and could sex magic also be part of that? Yes. But as a group, Freemasonry does not promote or teach magic, and that includes sex magic. It just doesn't. Right? It does not. Yes. Are there individual Freemasons that may be interested in magic? Yes. But when they're in their lodge, they're not learning magic. They're not being taught magic. That's not something that Freemasons do as a group. So Freemasons aren't doing sex magic. And there's no evidence for this. The evidence is some conspiracy theorist on YouTube who puts up a bunch of pictures of Crowley and a bunch of images of his books, and then some dark music, and Crowley was a Satanist who was into sex magic because he said in his book, Liber 777, and I quote, sex magic is great, unquote. That doesn't, so what, right? And even if that was true, even if Crowley did say, sex magic is great, go do it, blah, blah, it's the most powerful thing in magic, doesn't mean that all occultists agree with that. Occultism is not a monolith, right? Just like Christians wouldn't like it if I said, well, this Catholic guy over here said this, therefore all Christians believe it. I don't think the Lutherans would agree with me on that. I don't think the Mormons would agree with me on that. I don't think the Amish, the Episcopalians, the Presbyterians, the Baptists, the Anabaptists, I don't think they would agree that a Catholic guy said something, right? The Pope said something, so now all of Christendom believes that. No, only the Catholics believe that, right? So the occult would be the same way. If Crowley said something, pretty much only people who are in the OTO and who follow Thelema, and well, not necessarily the OTO, but who follow Thelema would agree with that. And even that, right? I've got a book over there, Approaching Babylon, by Georgia Van Ralke, I believe, who is rewriting Babylon to remove her from the Crowleyan influences, to give her a more feminine sort of a perspective. So even within the Thelemic ranks, people aren't so gung-ho over Crowley. and he hasn't said Crowley yet or anything like that. So I know, some of you are like, Rebel, he hasn't even said Crowley, but I promise you that's where he's getting this from, right? He's getting it from YouTubers who are claiming to cite Crowley and all this other stuff, and they don't know what they're talking about. That's where this nonsense is coming from. And my job as an occultist is to defend the occult. And that's what and so that sometimes might even include people who I don't agree with, like Crowley. So yeah, like, even if Crowley did say those things, it doesn't mean that the occult agrees with him at large. It's mainly just the Thelemites and maybe the OTO. Outside of that, the occult's not a monolith. So there's different traditions. Whatever Crowley says, the voodoo people, right? People who practice voodoo, Hunganaswoges, voodoo sons, they are not following what Crowley said, right? The people who practice Kimbanda, Santeria, Obeah, right? The 21 divisions, these people are not, they don't care what Crowley said, right? Chaotes aren't paying attention to what Crowley said, right? Most Western ceremonial magicians who aren't Thelemites aren't paying attention to what Crowley said. Folk witches, trad witches are not paying attention to what Crowley, like, I can go on and on and on and on and on. This is Christian propaganda at its finest. But anyway, let's continue. We've got a few minutes left here.
It's just all connected.
It's not.
This right here. This is why you cannot play with the devil.
This guy's...
There is no good witch, no good witchcraft. The mission of the devil is to steal, to kill, and to destroy. If you try to use witchcraft or the devil for your favor or material gain.
Why is witchcraft of the devil? Why is it of the devil? It seems to me that your God doesn't have any problem with magic. Moses was doing magic. Abraham was doing magic. Aaron was doing magic. Ezekiel was doing magic. Enoch was doing magic. So it seems to me that your God has no problem with magic. It seems that the issue is when he's not the source of the power. That seems to be the problem that the Abrahamic God seems to have, at least according to his believers, with magic. Because when Moses was in Egypt, and he was literally, according to the Bible, literally having a wizard fight with Pharaoh's magicians, what is the difference between what Moses was doing and what Pharaoh's magicians were doing, right? Because Moses was turning his staff into snakes and, calling down, like, he was doing that. So what is that versus what Pharaoh's magicians were doing? If Pharaoh's magicians were doing magic, what was Moses doing? Oh, most Christians would say it's a miracle. Moses was doing miracles. Well, what's the difference? Well, miracles come from, our God, the Abrahamic God, Yahweh, Jehovah, whatever, and magic comes from other gods. Oh, so it's a semantics game. It's literally the same thing. If I pray for a new job or I cast a spell for a new job and I get it in both instances, what's the difference? The difference is the Abrahamic God is not the source of power, and that seems to be the problem, not magic in and of itself. But let's continue.
He will what? He will curse you. He will come to destroy you in the end, even in the middle. This is why the Bible says in the book of Deuteronomy 30:19, I put before you life and death, blessings and curses. Choose life so that you and your descendants may live. So if you choose another path of sin and wickedness and
he's not, okay, that's another issue with the Bible. The Bible is not univocal. This is not for us, right? The Old Testament is for the Jews. It was not for the Gentile. It was not for the world. It was for the Israelites. It was for the people that God was dedicated to, and vice versa, right? According to Christianity, Jesus came and did away with the Old Testament. He came and he fulfilled the law, and so now there's a New Testament. So all that Old Testament stuff, there might be some good, things to follow, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill, blah, blah. But that's not really for us. That was for the Jews. So it's always funny to hear Christians like quote verses from a book that wasn't intended, or from books that weren't intended for them.
witchcraft, the devil will come for your descendants, will come for your children, will come for you in the end.
They want somebody to love them for 15 minutes. That's why sex has become an everyday movement. Then one day, a young woman approached me named Linda Smith. And you know what, Sid? She really believed in the power of God. She walked the walk and just didn't talk the talk. A lot of people talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. And Linda just showed the love of God in the way she acted. She didn't come out with all these spiritual lingo. She said, a man to me, a man that didn't rape you, beat you, use you, put you on the streets and stick needles in your arms. A man that was the son of God who loved you for the way you are, not for 15 minutes. At church, she took me up to Pastor
Why did
Tommy
you go to
Reed's
church?
Because I was dying and there was no hope. I figured I'm going to die anyway. Let's go see. And you know what really influenced me, to be very honest, in the last few minutes of this program? She acted like a person who didn't just put on a facade of Christianity. She lived it. She walked it. She didn't want to impress anybody, Sid. She wanted to introduce to a dying, demon-possessed tramp witch. She wanted to introduce that human being to a man who changed her life.
Listen, I don't have the full video. I don't have the full nothing. But that is wild. I don't know how many people I brought through deliverance that are connected to my ministry that have practiced witchcraft and are getting tormented. And the spirits will speak out and how they enter through tarot cards, how they enter through this and that and that. People that were involved into.
I study theology. I study Catholic and Orthodox theology, which is why I'm able to shit on the Protestants so much, because they know nothing 9 times out of 10. You might come across, a few Protestants that have, actual knowledge of something other than reciting Bible verses. But most of the time they don't know anything. My spirits they're not angry. They don't care. They don't care that I literally have Bibles, commentaries, all kinds of books on Orthodoxy, Catholicism, that take up my bottom shelf of my bookshelf. Most of it is occult books, but the bottom shelf is my Christian theological stuff. Spirits don't care. They're not, trying to possess me, curse me, kick me down the stairs, pull me out of the bed at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. or whatever. It's like, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous.
Spiritual baths, astral projection, a lot of different things, right? Going to fortune.
Spiritual baths, you mean like your baptism? You mean like a baptism? Because you're not baptized with air, you're baptized in water. Okay, so, and if you think that with a spiritual bath you're actually taking a bath, I mean, I guess you could, but that's not the intention. The intention is just to pour it over your head, right? Or, well, that might just be a head wash, but you're not actually bathing in a spiritual bath. You can, I guess, if you wanted to, but the intention is not to bathe. So baptism is a spiritual bath.
Fortune tellers, and I'm bringing these people through deliverance. Guys, you got to understand, this stuff is serious. Astral projection, demonic, all this spiritual stuff that can't.
How is it demonic?
Be backed with the Bible is satanic. Backed with the Bible in context is satanic.
How can we back it with the Bible when it predates the Bible? What? like what? That doesn't make any sense. Magic, occultism predates the Bible. So how can it be backed with the Bible if it came before? Maybe it should be vice versa. Or is that heresy?
That was completely powerful. It shows you the kingdom of darkness is never on your side. It will use you to destroy other people.
Why is it?
And they will use you to raise you up in pride, so at the same time they're actually destroying you. So you feel like you're actually powerful, but those demons are actually, they have an assignment to destroy you, and you're actually being used as a vessel to destroy other people and bring familiar spirits into other people's lives. So it's just like you're a conduit. You're just you're a vessel, you're a vehicle to fulfill the mandate of Satan in the earth realm, and then Satan will come and destroy you. Man. And this is why demonic covenants exist, because people thought that they can get money, fame, fortune, blessings, and children through going to the devil. And then what happens is that they make that agreement and that covenant, and this is what forms satanic covenants. This is why when you look all throughout scripture, child sacrifice and all that stuff, murders, they were doing these things unto false gods for material gain, for financial gain, for protection. Oh, goodness.
All right. This must be the whole video, but we're not gonna. That's not what this was about. This was about the most viral testimony, and so here we go. Come on, guys. Like, I think we know this is absolute. Like, this guy has no idea what he's talking about. He has no idea. And what's a Bengo Luffy?
My marriage was almost destroyed because of prophecy. Because
where was it? Oh, five more links. Does he have a website? He said he has a ministry. Ministry YouTube. Alufe Ministries. Here we go. Lufile Ministries.
Hello, blessings to you all.
We don't need that. All right. There's no website? Like, how do I know that this is like your church and you're not just like invited to speak at someone else's church? How do I know that this is yours? Let's see. There we go. Okay. Let's see. My guess, I want to see his website, because my guess is he's some sort of Pentecostal, some sort of evangelical, you know, I'm sure he does like deliverances and casting out demons. Oh, so he doesn't even have his own church. Yeah, it doesn't look like he's got. I mean, normally if you have your own church, like, you want to promote that. You'd have. Hold on, let me just go on under contact. Maybe it's there. Okay, yeah, no. You'd have like the address of the church, you know, phone number, you'd have like the people who are in the, the pastor, which is probably you, like head pastor, and then like your 2 or 3 other pastors, and then, the people who do, the choir, like the choir leader, the, children's, whatever ministry leader, youth ministry, like, so he doesn't, I mean, I'm not mocking him for that. I'm just saying, like, he keeps saying he has his own ministry, and it doesn't seem so. It just seems that you're just a guy, which is fine, but you promote it as if, you have a ministry. It doesn't seem like you have an actual ministry. Sounds like you just go around to other churches and preach there, but you don't have like your own church that you lead. So interesting. But anyway, a bunch of BS.
My marriage was almost destroyed because of prophecy. Because I put my faith, y'all have to listen.
There we go. These videos never get old for me. These ex-witch turned Christian, these never get old. This is insanity to the max. But what do we expect, right? They're not allowed to seek anything outside of their own religion. They're not allowed to study anything outside of their own religion. And I'm talking about Protestants, right? Obviously, people in Orthodoxy and stuff like that, Catholicism, they'll study Islam, they'll study Judaism and Buddhism, if not for anything other than to debate them, right? But they are, they don't have any qualms about studying these things. They're not, ridiculously ignorant, thinking that, oh, if I go buy a Buddhist book from Barnes and Noble, I'm going to get the spirit of Buddhism in me and I'll be possessed. And now I got to go to a Bendigo Lufile Ministries and get, a deliverance. Like, come on, man. Come on. Not real. This is BS. I don't know what else to say here, except for this. If you guys like what you watched during this episode, consider subscribing to the channel. Also, give me a follow over on TikTok, also under The Mystical Rebel. And if you want to learn how to do magic, how to actually do it, instructions, how to perform it, consider joining my brand new Patreon, patreon.com/themysticalrebel. New videos are posted weekly with instructional videos coming monthly. And as of this recording, I am finishing up, should be by the end of this week, the scrying video on how to actually perform the divinatory method of scrying. So do consider following me on my various social platforms. Don't forget to give this video a like, share it with your friends, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching. As always, seek the mysteries. Peace.